In the mid-16th century, when Portuguese ships were sailing off Taiwan and caught sight of the island, the sailors shouted out, "Ilha Formosa," which means a beautiful island. Hence, Taiwan came to be known as Formosa, or the beautiful island in the west. For thousands of years, indigenous people had lived in and cultivated this beautiful island. Following waves of immigrants arriving from China, from about 400 years ago onwards, the original inhabitants continued to practice their traditional lifestyles in the mountains and more remote eastern parts of the island, while the Han Chinese settled on the island's fertile plains and hills. These immigrants worked and rested according to the seasonal cycle. They began to till the land when the spring thunder roared. By working to the tempo of nature, these newcomers turned Taiwan into a thriving place to live. Because the indigenous peoples traditionally attached great importance to coexisting and co-prospering with nature, they nurtured the land through slash-and-burn agriculture and by leaving it fallow. The hunting season, prescribed by ancestral rules, also helped them maintain an ecological balance of animals and ensure the clan's sustainable development.
如果脂肪不够厚的时候，要把这个动物要放掉，因为表示它们吃的食物少。那么吃的食物少，繁殖量就会变少。相对的人那时候还没有农作物，就是靠这些动物，所以必须要跟他们一起生存，所以也不能够把这样子瘦弱的动物呢吃掉，也就开始养成了一种所谓的 共生跟永续的概念。
The hunting season ended after the fall season to allow animals to breed. This clearly showed the indigenous understanding of sustainable development. The Dao tribe of Orchid Island, which depends on the sea for survival, also abides by ancestral rules on fishing.
大物主对这个飞鱼是非常的看重，所以我们抓飞鱼的时候就尽量不要去捕这个一般的鱼或是不动的鱼，我们就放下来。这个飞机要过去以后，我们再可以去抓这个不同的鱼。
Indeed, certain fish are only to be caught during prescribed seasons, guaranteeing that the ocean never runs out of fish. This reverence for nature is evident everywhere in indigenous life.
原住民他长时间在这边几千年的历史了。 我们包括我们这些汉人还没有来之前呢，他们就已经生活在这边了。所以透过这长时间的跟土地的互动的过程，其实他们已经非常的了解怎么去永续发展。好比他狩猎的时候，他懂得怎么样去保护那个新的那个生命，让他能够长时间的可以运用这些土地的资源。
The indigenous people's close union with nature is revealed through their songs. The Punon tribe's 8-toned music movingly echoes the sounds of nature through the human voice. These resonating sounds replicate the murmuring flow of water, buzzing honeybees, or the low cry of mountain winds. These sounds integrate different scales of the music of nature. Taiwan's abundant natural resources have undergone a crisis due to population pressure and runaway economic development for the past 100 years, and the island's forest resources have dwindled because of overlogging. In a single year during the 1960s, a record 1 million tons of timber were cut down. Valuable cypress and cedar trees were chopped down to build houses, produce furniture, or exported for cash. In the 1980s, Taiwan's ecological conservation movement began to take shape. A logging ban was enforced in 1989, and overnight, lumberjacks changed jobs to collect seeds and eventually became the frontline personnel for reforestation. At the same time, ocean ecology movements also took off, and a new scene emerged off Taiwan's coastal waters. Crowds of people began to enjoy the sight of whales that often circle the area, gracing these beautiful waters with their magnificence. Does economic expansion necessarily clash with ecological protection? In reality, a balance can be struck between the two if the beautiful land can be amply maintained through careful planning. Satellite pictures clearly show that 2/3 of Taiwan is made up of forests. Undoubtedly, forests are the lifeblood of the island, and the search for the foothold of Taiwan must start from here. For decades, geographers, geologists, and ecologists have traversed this land, ceaselessly studying and planning future land development.
所以在国土计划里面，我们就是要把我们的国土分作3大类，一种叫做生产用地，一种叫做发展用地，还有第3种就是保育用地。诸位都晓得，这个中央山脉我们叫它脊梁山脉，所以它不只是脊梁，它其实是我们生命的泉源。只要把中央山脉整个保育保育好，我们就有干净的空气、清洁的水、丰富的森林跟野生动物。那这时候，我们整个台湾赖以为生的上游地区就获得了保障，那世世代代就有用不完的资源，这也就是国土计划的目的。
Given the limitation of Taiwan's land, the government relies on experts to further restrict developments of protected forests and coastal areas. Combined, these areas account for about half of the total national landmass and are crucial to the sustainable development of Taiwan.